Hi everyone, I am Keke Wu from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Today, on behalf of my co-authors, Michelle Tran, Emma Petersen, Varsha Koushik, and Danielle Albers Szafir, I'll be presenting our study that uncovers the everyday data experiences of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. In this paper, we reimagine the role of visualization in data accessibility to establish a research agenda for cognitively accessible visualizations. Data is everywhere. It might be captured as numbers in a spreadsheet, a collection of images or videos, or as simple as a checklist. Knowing how to work with data helps us make better decisions, navigate the social situations, and to keep up with the world and our own life. However, working with data is complicated. It requires many skills that are often inaccessible to people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, or IDD. IDD is a set of disabilities characterized by significant limitations in intellectual functioning and daily adaptive behaviors. It is also frequently comorbid with psychiatric disorders such as depression, anxiety, and ADHD. Study shows that conventional visualizations may inevitably pose challenges to this population, leaving them excluded from data analytics and vulnerable to ethical issues in everyday life. In this paper, we conducted semi-structured interviews with 15 participants with IDD and their caregivers to characterize how they encounter data in everyday life. We adopted an open-ended, highly structured, algorithmic interview approach to situate the data in the lived experiences of people with IDD. The workflow is summarized in this chart and detailed in our paper. Our 15 participants were recruited from 9 different states in the U.S., covering a variety of IDD types, severity, and comorbidities. All interviews were radio recorded and transcribed. 2 researchers independently coded the data using a spreadsheet with respect to 3 topics of interest. We also used the empathy maps to deeply understand how participants' data experiences manifest in their words, thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. We summarized our findings as 3 distinct themes. First, how do people with IDD conceptualize data? We found that participants generally fell into 2 groups, data-aware and data-apathetic. Data-aware individuals had a middle to high data literacy and or confidence. They defined the data in the context of actions and were aware of its potential. For example, P8 used the multimedia data-driven narratives to communicate the potential of Special Olympics athletes. The words we put on the screen, the videos of us performing on TikTok, the PowerPoints, we use the pictures as data to kind of help reinforce what we're trying to talk about. We're trying to introduce people to the fact that I can do anything you can do. Data-apathetic individuals, on the other hand, had a generally low data literacy and or confidence. They couldn't relate to data, often associated the data with technology, characterized the data on a personal level, yet had a sense of insecurity. For example, P9 felt that the data conflicted with her personal identity. Oh boy, I really don't know because I'm not a computer technology kind of gal. We also found that data became more visible when people involved active attention and sense-making. P11 used the playing video games as an example. People don't know that there is data because they want to play the game by itself, not with that analytical mind. But some people love that data by crunching the numbers and doing that stuff so they can be really good at the game and beat the game. Additionally, data became less overwhelming when it was wrapped in a compelling format. As P13 stated, when watching films, there is data, like how long the documentaries are, what type of documentary, what genre, but that's not overwhelming because I'm mostly paying attention to the content. To summarize, the definition and perception of data were inherently personal. Data became more visible when it was used for problem solving and less overwhelming when used for entertaining. Secondly, we looked at when and where people with IDD encounter data. Participants frequently tracked the activities of daily living and used the personal data in a range of scenarios such as self-advocacy, expression, and regulation. Many participants faced significant barriers to social participation. To them, data was a powerful tool for telling personal stories to combat the stigma. For example, P4 and his grandma sought to use data for authoritative arguments. I think he's capable of doing a lot more than what he's doing, so we're trying to find the different places where he can be exposed to things. We're going to court. We're fighting other administrators' offices to PA, public administrator, so that he can make his own choices. Data would give him more supportive decision-making. Individuals with autism commonly struggled with social interactions. They used the self-assembled data as a proxy to communicate their thoughts and feelings and to learn to deal with social situations, as P15 stated. When I watch a movie, I'll take a 15-second video of my favorite scene from the movie. I share the pictures and videos with my psychiatrist, and we talk about how I would handle the situation. It's my way of expressing how I feel about the social situations. It helps me organize my brain and my life in dealing with social situations and figure out what the best course of action would be. Severely impaired participants usually need a caregiver support. Their data experiences were mostly passive and unconscious. We constructed a persona to illustrate such case. Persona A has Down syndrome and many other health issues. She works with multiple professionals and is constantly being monitored and checked. Support staff logs her health information and share it with professionals about her standards of care every day. To summarize, participants usually self-checked or were being checked by other people. This tracked data was used for storytelling, self-expression and reflection, and for measuring everyday life. Lastly, we looked at the barriers between people with IDD and data. Less independent participants, such as Persona A, often had a limited agency over data and were vulnerable to exploitation. P14's caregiver expressed such concern. Our challenge is to teach her how to be more safe. She's doing all these different things to be able to interact in the world. But if a stranger walks up and says, "Give me your wallet," she'll give it to them, so it's just scary. In addition, participants noted a lack of support for building data literacy in current special education classrooms. And as a result, many people with IDD found the data to be intimidating and hard to work with. As P2 stated, it's like when you go to a doctor and they're talking to you using math terms, you almost have to say, "Remember, you have to talk down to me. We're not at the same medical level you're at." In a nutshell, most participants had a low to no data literacy and received very little data education at school. Participants found the data to be intimidating and were not motivated to improve their data literacy. For more examples and a detailed analysis of the results, please check out our paper. Here, I'll discuss 2 actionable takeaways for how visualization can improve data accessibility for people with IDD. First, make data feel personal. To many participants, personal data didn't feel personal and was out of their abilities to work with. Using low-fidelity physicalization, such as everyday objects, may provide a more accessible means for people with IDD to engage with data about their everyday living. In addition, inclusive pedagogy needs to discuss data in context of real-life challenges, encourage personal meaning-making, and personalize the data discovery that suits the needs of people with IDD. Second, design visualizations with people in mind. Participants often collected the data to tell stories to remove the stigma around their disabilities. However, most participants found the data to be intimidating and didn't have the skills or tools to create compelling data stories. Our interview suggested that data became less intimidating when it came as a narrative. Visualizations could leverage narrative techniques from conventional media, communicating aspects of the lives of people with IDD to elicit better empathy. Further, accessible visualizations should help link data to aspects of personal identity and help people with IDD foster a positive self-image, translating their personal goals, missions, and values into relatable visual elements such as colors, shapes, and icons. We believe that visualization has the potential to empower people with IDD, and our study is just the beginning of the conversation. Please refer to our paper for more details. Thanks for your attention.